Imagine trying to survive a night where the air is an ice knife and there isn't a single tree in sight to build a shelter or make a fire. For our ancestors in the Ice Age, the concept of home wasn't made of bricks or wood, but rather a bizarre and magnificent fortress erected with the skeletons of 10-ton giants. We're talking about a time, roughly 170,000 to 70,000 years ago, when Earth went through brutal glacial cycles where temperatures plummeted and food sources collapsed. To survive, the human being, this naked ape who had lost its thick pelt to become an elite sweating machine, needed something more than just instinct. They needed survival architecture. The first thing you need to understand about Ice Age architecture is that it was a direct response to an existential design problem. When humans migrated north out of Africa, they encountered an environment where UV radiation was weak, and winter was a death sentence for anyone without adequate protection. On the frozen steppes where trees were rare, the most abundant and durable building material was the mammoth. Imagine the scene: a circular structure about 5 to 8 meters wide, where the foundation wasn't concrete but half-buried mammoth skulls turned inward to create a solid base. The walls were a complex network of jaws, femurs, and scapulae, stacked with a precision that suggests sophisticated design thinking, far beyond simple mechanical reflex. For the roof, 3-meter-long mammoth tusks were crossed at the top, creating a natural arch that was then covered with heavy animal hides. This wasn't just a pile of bones, it was a third skin. If the fitted clothes sewn with the first bone needles 50,000 years ago were the second skin that allowed humans to hunt in the cold, these houses were what allowed the species to exist permanently in climates that should have killed them in hours. And inside these structures, the heart of it all was fire. Fire, which our ancestors had controlled for at least 1 million years, transformed from a cooking tool into a critical social technology. On the long winter nights of the Ice Age, the central hearth inside a bone house wasn't just for warmth, it was the place where human culture was forged. It was there that the ritual smoke circle happened, creating a group cohesion that was literally a matter of life or death. These houses were designed to maximize thermoregulation. The use of animal hides, prepared with sophisticated stone tools that even Neanderthals had mastered, created insulation that sealed heat against the body and the environment. Hot air remained trapped inside, allowing people to sleep without freezing, while outside the wind howled across the tundra. But there is a detail that most people forget: the logistics. Building a mammoth house required the coordinated effort of dozens of people. You needed to hunt or gather the remains of dozens of mammoths. This implies a complex social structure, a hierarchy, and a vision of the future. They weren't just reacting to the cold, they were planning against it. This cognitive leap is the same one that allowed the creation of needles with tiny eyes to thread sinew, an engineering feat that allowed for clothing that protected the neck and wrists where heat escapes the fastest. Furthermore, the Ice Age house was a status billboard. Just as today we use clothes to signal who we are, decorating these houses with ochre pigments and the specific arrangement of the bones showed who belonged to the group and what their rank was. Architecture was a symbolic language. Someone tens of thousands of years ago looked at a functional wall of bones and thought, this needs to look a specific way, injecting meaning into an object of pure survival. This ability to transform natural materials into complex shelters and technological clothing is what allowed the human being, a vulnerable and slow creature, to become the apex predator that the rest of the animal world learned to fear. The fear that a squirrel or a deer feels toward you today is an echo of thousands of years in which humans, emerging from their bone fortresses and dressed in sewn hides, dominated the landscape through intelligence and cooperation. Ultimately, mammoth houses are proof that human creativity is our greatest survival weapon. When the world became hostile, we didn't just hide, we built. We created a barrier between ourselves and extinction, using the remains of the very giants that shared the ice with us. Today, when you walk into your heated home and lock the door, you are participating in a tradition that is 150,000 years old. You are doing exactly what that hunter-gatherer did when pulling an animal hide over a framework of mammoth tusks. creating a space where biology is protected by technology. The lesson of the Ice Age is simple. We got cold, we got creative, and we built our way into the future. And you? Do you think you would have the courage or the skill to spend a Siberian winter inside one of these bone fortresses? Leave your comment below, and let's discuss whether our modern technology has made us stronger or just softer. Until next time.